All right, guys, so once you reach this page, the formula to how to come up with your net offer to the seller couldn't be more simple. All right, step one, determining the ARV. Once you've figured out, okay, the most important step is what is this property going to be worth once it's fully renovated. You do this by taking the bedroom count, the bathroom count, is there a pool, is it fenced in, and most importantly, the location and the heated square footage. At this point, hopefully you've already completed Cashflow Bootcamp. Hopefully at this point you're already a licensed realtor. You know how to determine an ARV. It takes all of 5 minutes, honestly, if you have access to a computer, all of 5 minutes to determine what is this property going to be worth once it's fully renovated without ever having to see the property, okay? So let's assume we just spoke with the seller. She gave us all of this information regarding her home. She gave us the address. We were able to determine that it's going to be worth $300,000 once it's all said and done on the market as the ARV. So we're going to plug in $300,000 under ARV. Next, we have our selling cost. Now, what is the selling cost? Whenever you sell a property, it has a cost associated to it. Whether you're paying the buyer's agent, right? In my case, I'm paying the buyer's agent 2%. I'm not paying myself a commission since I'm already a licensed real estate broker. If you're not a licensed real estate agent or broker, you can add whatever the total commission is that you're going to be paying towards the buyer's agent and the seller's agent. But in our case, since we are licensed real estate agent, we're only paying 2% to the buyer's agent. In addition to that, we're paying a 2% closing cost, right? This is money that goes to the title company, the closing attorney, etc. In your state, it might be a little more, it might be a little less. Here in Florida, it's 2% for the closing cost and approximately 2% to the buyer's agent, bringing me to a total of 4%. So that's what it's going to cost me to sell this property. I'm going to put down 5%. Now, you're going to ask, why 5%? Roy, you just told us it's 4%. So everything that we do and everything that we learn to do here in Cashflow Bootcamp is how to do things the right way and how to do them in the most conservative way possible. So for example, if I put down $300,000 for ARV, it's likely that when I was comping out this property, I came up with $320,000 ARV or somewhere around there. I'd rather be more conservative with my numbers than stretch out the numbers and be like, what's the absolute highest I'm going to get? Because what if I don't get 320? What if I only get 300, right? Or if my absolute max was 300, you'd see me putting down something like 280. You always rather leave yourself a cushion, a room for error. What happens if there's a downtrend in the market, things of that nature. And it's the same thing with the selling costs. You know your selling costs are going to be 4%, but you want to add that 1% for good measure. And it's the same thing with the renovation. If you think your renovations are going to cost you $40,000, put down $50,000. If you think they're going to be $50,000, put down $60,000. I'd rather put down $60,000, and at the end, when it's all said and done, my renovations ended up costing me only $50,000, and I made $10,000 bonus money than the other way around and expect to make this much and only make this much on a property. So at any given point, any property that I flip, I'm almost always making the exact amount that I'm expecting to make, if not more, right? Let's assume the renovations ended up costing me less. Let's assume it took me less time to sell the house. Let's assume I was able to sell it for more than what I had ran my numbers by, right? So that's why we do that. Next, we have profit. What is the profit margin that you're looking to make, right? So let's just say in this case, I want to make 25% profit margin. I'm going to put down 25%. That's going to show me over here, very important, what is my expected profit? In this case, $71,250. And we're going to get back to that in just a moment and why it's so important to have that in eyes view. Okay, let's continue. The next field that we have is the renovations, okay? Now, we haven't been to the property yet. We don't know how much it's going to cost us to renovate this property, so we're going to skip that step for now. We're going to come right back to it in just a little bit. Next, we have the purchase closing cost. So just like we have selling closing cost, what does it cost us to sell a property? It also costs us money to buy a property, right? You still have closing costs when you're a buyer, although it's not as much as when you're the seller. Here in Florida, it can still be approximately 1%. Now, what I like to do is put down under purchase closing cost something like 3%, okay? Why is that? Whenever I make an offer to a seller, I like to offer them a net sum amount to their pocket It avoids a lot of confusion for the seller having to figure out, oh, he made me an offer for this much, but then I have all of these costs and, what am I going to actually net at closing? I like to let the seller know if I'm offering you $100,000, that's the exact amount that you're going to walk away with. That means that all the other fees, I'm covering all of the fees. I'm covering my buying closing costs and I'm covering your seller closing costs, okay? So if I know I'm going to be paying approximately 1% for me as a buyer and approximately 2% for them as a seller, that's a total of 3%. So I'm just going to add 3%, which is a very generous amount. In your state, it might be a little more, it might be a little less. So you have to know what that number is. You can easily establish this by giving a quick phone call to your title company or to your closing attorney in your state. So for now, let's just stick, we already have 3%, let's stick to 3%. Next, we have the financed amount. What is the financed amount, right? So right now I have it set to 100%. What does this mean? If I'm buying a house for $100,000 and I'm getting 100% financing, I'm getting $100,000. I'm not coming out of pocket anything, and I'm getting the property. Now, in a lot of cases for me, I'm getting 110, 120, 130 or more percent financing. That means that if I'm buying the house for $100,000 and I'm getting 120% financing, I'm getting the house paid for, and I'm getting an additional $20,000 to my pocket at closing for purchasing this property to help offset the cost of renovations. So when I'm doing 5, 10, 15 houses at a time, it obviously helps a lot being able to get financing amount above 100%, which helps offset all of those renovations and get everything kind of moving along. Now, if you're just starting off, you're likely getting 80% or 90%. Maybe you're getting 100% financing, right? Who knows? Maybe you're getting no financing and you're using your cash, your all cash money. If that's the case, you could just put down, a big fat zero over there. But let's just say, for argument's sake, you're getting 80%, which is kind of standard. If you're getting 80% on $100,000, that means you're getting $80,000 and you have to put $20,000 down. Keep in mind, you still have your renovation cost. But again, for the sake of this example, if you're getting 80%, let's just go ahead and type in 80% over here and see what that looks like, right? So 80% financing. Next, we have the interest rate, right? What is the interest rate that you're paying, right? For me, in my case, a lot of times it's around 10%. For you, it might be a little more, it might be a little less. Let's just say 12% just to kind of see what that's going to look like. So we're going to put down 12% interest. Again, these are interest-only payments that you're making to your lender on a short-term loan until this loan is satisfied, the house is sold or refinanced if you're keeping it using the BRRRR method. Okay, and then last, we have the holding months. How many months do we expect this property, this deal to take from A to Z, right? Let's assume this is going to be a flip, and let's assume you bought the house today and you didn't start renovating it for another whole month because you had to find a contractor, you had to source the material. It took you a month to get started, no problem. After a month, it took you 2 more months for renovations. Now, the average renovation for me is taking 4 weeks, 5 weeks, sometimes 6 weeks. So I think 2 months is very generous. That's 8 weeks, right? Next, we have an additional, let's just say 2 months that you had the house listed on the market, right? 2 months you're trying to sell it, which is a very long time, relatively speaking. But let's just say it took you a whole 2 months to find a buyer. Eventually, you found a buyer. You got the house in contract. It took them an extra 30 days to close on this house. So 6 months, very fair time frame. You can easily put down 6 months here. If you want to be even more conservative, you can leave it at 8 and put down 8 months, more or less. But let's just say, for argument's sake, 6, which is very generous. Let's just put 6 months. You can always change that. Okay. That brings us to a net offer amount of $178,000, but we still have one very, very, very important variable that we have to get back to, and that's the renovation cost. Right now, all of this is assuming my renovation is going to cost me $20,000 because that's what I have plugged in here. Okay, so the way that I run my business is I'll have this whole thing on a little app on my phone. I'll pre-fill all of these numbers in exactly 30 seconds because I know what they're going to be. And then I'll get to the house, I'll knock on Marie's door. Hi Marie, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Roy. Thank you for having me here on short notice. I'd be happy if you want to give me the grand tour of your beautiful property. Marie will show me the property, and if it's me, honestly guys, within a few seconds I can take a look at this house and just like that tell you down to the dollar what that renovation cost is going to be because I've been doing this for long enough. Once you get started, if you're not sure there's many ways to figure this out, and I talk all about that in Cashflow Bootcamp. But if you kind of have an idea and you're looking at the house and maybe you're with someone and they know a little better and they're like, it's going to cost you about $40,000 to $50,000 to renovate this property. If you've learned anything from today's event, if you're estimating the renovation to be $40,000 to $50,000, you're going to put over here $60,000, right? If you're expecting the renovation to be $60,000, you're going to put down $70,000 or $75,000. I rather put down and give myself a greater budget than do a tight deal and then potentially lose, okay? You'd rather give yourself this much budget and finish the renovations over here and make bonus money at the closing than the other way around. Guys, this is ultra important, okay? So in this case, $60,000, let's just say that's a very generous renovation budget for Marie's home. We're gonna put down $60,000, we're gonna click enter, we're gonna see what this tells me. This tells me that my net offer to Marie needs to be $142,000. Okay, I even have a sneak peek here at my financing amount, so I just got to do 142 minus 113, and I know how much money I got to come out of pocket in addition to my $60,000 renovation. More or less, that's what this is going to cost me out of my pocket, right? But going back to the formula here, if I know my offer to Marie needs to be $142,000, and I'm expecting to make $71,000. The reason this is so important is because when I offer Marie $142,000 and I tell Marie, look, this is the net sum to your pocket. This is the amount that you're going to walk away with. I'm paying all of the fees, the closing costs, the attorney costs, doc stamps, anything and everything that you can imagine. This is the net sum that you're going to walk to your pocket, that you're going to walk away with in your pocket. Marie's going to tell me, Roy, that's very generous of you. I really appreciate it. But unfortunately, I cannot take less than $150,000. So essentially, you need to ask yourself, are you comfortable paying $8,000 more and walking away with $8,000 less profit, right? So what is that? Approximately $63,000. So in order for you to close this deal right now and you offer Marie $8,000 more, you know you're going to walk away with $63,000 profit. Is that good? In my opinion, that's great. It's completely up to you guys, but this is something that you're able to do in an instant when you're standing there in front of Marie rather than having to pull out your calculator and start running all these numbers and formulas and so on. You know that you're not touching your renovation budget, okay? Never, ever, and I repeat, never, ever lower your renovation budget to match Marie's asking price. Don't sit there and say, I have to come up with an extra $8,000, so rather than doing the floors, they're not too bad, I'm going to leave them as they are. Rather than putting granite countertops, I'm going to put Formica countertops and save a few $100 there. Rather than doing the bathroom, I'm just going to leave it the way it is, I'm just going to replace the vanity. Never do any of that. Always give yourself the best opportunity to win in this scenario. So if you're going to reduce any amount here, it's going to be from your profit. If your renovation ended up costing you less at the end, naturally you made bonus money, but you want to know exactly what you're expecting from day one. So I know that I'm expecting, in this case, $63,000 profit if I'm offering Marie $150,000. If I'm okay with it, I'll tell Marie, you know what, you have a deal, sign right here, sign there, and let's make this happen, okay? I have seen countless amounts of other deal calculators from all these other gurus, and all these fancy Excel sheets, and honestly guys, they couldn't be more complicated. There's so many weird formulas and so many weird things that they put in there that I honestly don't even know how the hell to use them, and I wouldn't even need to. They get so confusing for no reason, and I'm not sure why the hell anybody would want to do that, but in this scenario, you can clearly see it doesn't get more simple than this. This formula here has absolutely everything that you need to make an offer. I have used this exact calculator to make millions of dollars and make countless amounts of offers to sellers in seconds, okay? So I'm really hoping you guys can utilize this to your advantage. If you click on the Advanced tab, honestly, it's the same concept more or less. The only difference is you have a few more bold fields that cannot be changed, but it shows you what some of these numbers are that are hidden here in the Simple tab. For all intents and purposes, the simple formula is more than enough to make any and every offer you'd possibly need on the go. All right, guys, and that's it for today's event. I really appreciate you taking the time and joining me here today. I really hope I was able to give you guys some useful information that you can use to kick ass and make some amazing deals. I would love it if you are able to utilize any of this, including the deal calculator, and it works to your advantage. please feel free to DM me at Roy Seipel and tell me all about it. I'd love to hear about it. If you'd like, please click the link below to book an absolutely free call with a member of my team and see how you can join Cashflow Bootcamp today. See if this is for you. You'll have any and every question you might have answered. I'm really hoping to see you guys on the other side. Thank you again, and I'll see you soon.